Hello everyone and welcome to today's webinar. We will talk about the power of visual marketing and we hope you will find it as exciting as we think it is. If you should have any questions during the webinar, please use the question tab and we will take the time to answer in the end. My name is Katri Hansson and I work as email design lead here at Apsys. And I'm co-hosting this webinar together with my colleague.
Hi, my name is Fredrik Vremont and I am the head of creative services here at Apsys. I've been working at Apsys for almost 13 years, working with email design, email marketing, and digital design. And also let me introduce our great speaker for today, Joachim Löw from JumpStory.
Hi, Frederick. It was almost correct. My name is Jonathan, but I actually also like the name Joachim. Thank you so much for joining. I can see that we are hundreds in here already. I hope that you'll get a really good result out of this time that we're going to spend together. So I'm only going to talk like 30 seconds about myself because this is all about how you can get more out of your digital online marketing, being able to choose the right kind of visuals. So I'm Jonathan, I'm 41 and I'm from Denmark. I'm the founder of 4 tech companies, all within the space of digital marketing that we're all passionate about. The latest one is JumpStory. We work closely together with Apsys and we have customers in more than 100 countries. And what we are experts in is how to find photos, videos, and other kinds of images that will actually help you get more out of your digital marketing, whether that is your newsletters or other channels that you're using. I don't know if you're feeling thirsty, but images actually make us thirsty. Literally speaking, you can show a photo of running water and a person that was feeling just slightly thirsty before will start now craving for fresh, cold water. So if this is the way the brain works, how can we build so many newsletters, websites, landing pages where we spend 90% of our time finding the right kind of headline, the good copywriting text, and then, oh yeah, we also need some images to go along with it, because at the end of the day, we know that images are important, but do we actually know how much they can increase our conversion rates? Do we actually know how strong they are when it comes to the latest brain research, neuromarketing studies? I don't think, and hopefully through this webinar today, you'll get some incredible insights that you can use right away tomorrow to start driving your conversion rates right up there in the sky. So this is the agenda for today's webinar. I'm going to touch upon briefly the science in image performance. Don't worry, it's not going to be a professor lecture. It's going to be down to earth, tangible. Just touch briefly upon how you will make sure that you avoid copyright issues, because right now it's exploding online with problems with small and big companies using photos in good faith, but really ending up getting into trouble. Then we're going to talk a lot about how do you pick the right images and videos for your newsletters. What are some of the common visual mistakes that some of us even experienced digital marketeers do? And how can we learn from them and then use images to really increase our conversion rates, also boost our loyalty and preference for the products that we are each trying to sell out there in cyberspace. So firstly, the science behind image performance. What do we know? As I said, we know that images make us thirsty, but actually just looking at this photo also tells us a lot more about how your brain works. If we start looking a bit at it, the brain will automatically start to ask questions. Maybe you will wonder, where is this photo from in the world? What are they drinking? What is the relation between these people? Maybe who is that guy in the background? And so on and so on. This happens without us thinking about it. Maybe some of you will notice it says Nigeria on his t-shirt. You'll start to wonder, maybe he was on a trip to Nigeria. Images affects our brain and starts creating stories so much more powerful than what words are able to do. So really, as digital marketeers, we've sometimes got it the other way around when we spend 90% of our time on the text, and then just realizing, oh yeah, it was a SEO article, maybe I need some photos, or yeah, this newsletter, we need to push it out there. I really need some visual to go along, and maybe I don't need yet another product shot. So that's what Apsys and JumpStory together can help you with. Finding these images that make us thirsty, that work, maybe also make us emotional. We have these mirror neurons in our brain. So if you sit next to a person and talk to them, and I know we don't do this as much right now as we used to do in these Corona times, but when you sit with somebody that you know or that you like and they smile at you, you can't help but smile back. And that's the way that the brain works, because we're social animals, so we mirror not only behavior, but also emotions. So when a person opens your newsletter, you can instantly put them in a certain mood just by picking the right kind of photo to begin with. You cannot do this with your text. You can try to make a joke or be funny or try to write something emotional, but the chance is that people will tend to forget it and they will not get in the mood the same way as a photo can do it. Here we've sort of compared it, and please keep in mind, this is not about words or visuals. A lot of what I'm going to talk about, and Frederick and so on are going to talk about, is also how can these two media work together? How can words strengthen visuals and the other way around? We know from digital marketing research that people only read 62 words on a web page. This takes them around 15 seconds. And after 3 days, they only remember about 10% of what they read. You can try to test it the next time you visit a lot of websites. How much do you actually recall 3 days later? On the other hand, if you include one or more photos or visuals, people become 80% more willing to read what else is in your content. They will actually spend 15 seconds on each image. Compare that with 200, 300 words. So no matter if you are trying to grab their attention on a website or in a newsletter, if you manage to get the right kind of visuals, and we're going to get back to what that is and what that isn't, then they'll also recall your information, what were you trying to tell them, 65% after 3 days compared to the text 10% of what they read. And putting an image together with an article that was only text gives you 95% more views. This is just to establish what research tells us about the power of visuals. Some more stats. My guess will be you will not remember so many of these stats tomorrow. This is just to underline that whether it's social media, whether it's Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or whether it's newsletter campaigns, or whether it's websites, this is a crucial part, and therefore it's a paradox that for so long the internet has been so heavy with text and data and dashboards and so weak on images. It has to change if you want more impact. Then of course you want to make sure that when you use these photos, you don't make mistakes so it ends up costing you a lot. And it's kind of like a jungle out there right now. Many marketeers, even at corporations, sometimes go to Google, find an image, download it, and use it. That's, I think it's obvious, it's a no-go. Even if you filter on Google on license where it says you are supposed to be able to use it, this is in no way a legal clearance. So my advice will be, please don't do that. Then we have some free websites out there, so-called free websites, Unsplash, Pixabay, and some. You might have heard about them as a marketeer. You should also here be aware that these websites don't have copyright clearance. They might have the clearance to publish the photo, but the second you start using it in your marketing, you risk getting into trouble. There are two ways to make sure every time you use a photo or a video that you don't get into trouble. You should look for the license. Is it an official acknowledged one? One example is Creative Commons. It's the same in the visual industry that in website building is called open source. So you know WordPress as an open source product. Here they just call it Creative Commons Zero. And when you have Creative Commons Zero together with an insurance like we do at JumpStory, then you can be certain that you can use this image for any commercial purpose. And that also means that the integration we have built into Apsys, where you can find all of our 25 million photos, if you use them outside of Apsys, you can without any risk. So basically, you drag and drop an image into your newsletter, you want to use it on your website or some other place, go ahead and do it. There's a total insurance, you don't risk anything. Hopefully by now you will understand this, even though we might know it through expressions like, a photo says more than 1,000 words and so on. We have all of the cliches, but from a marketing point of view, it's really true. But it's only true if we understand how to pick the right kind of images and videos, because the opposite can also be true. Some of you will recognize the image of a goldfish jumping from one bowl to another to show creativity. Let's be honest, it's not creativity. It's a terrible metaphor that has been overused, and when customers look at it, they just think, oh no, not that goldfish again. In the charity industry, they had the problem starting 10 years ago that people were no longer responding to photos of starving children from Africa, which simply become immune to these kinds of images. And the exact same thing has happened in the photo industry. Too many stock photos are showing picture perfect families with bright, shiny white teeth, and we filter right through them, just like we did with advertising online with banners 10 years ago when people started downloading ad blockers. So the thing is, how do we then find the right photos? I'm going to talk about it some, and Frederick is also going to talk about it. But this is just a simple example of how little you need to do and how much impact it gets. This is something taken from a newsletter, a call to action. On one side, you have a call to action with a table, a photo of a table. It's not a very pretty photo, not very good resolution. On the other hand, you have the same call to action without the photo, and you can see the conversion rate in the percentages. This should tell you, okay, never again build a landing page or a newsletter without an image that you have considered why it's there, because you will simply risk reducing your effect on the marketing that you're already doing. And we are all very busy as digital marketeers. So spend these extra 5 minutes finding a photo. Then look out for the difference between authenticity and non-authentic images. And this is also very much a sense of style. So we will go through some examples, hopefully to give you an idea about it. So I did a random search for vacation. I searched in the library on Apsys that JumpStory delivers, and then I went to this free website called Unsplash. This was the first result that came up, and I hope you can see the difference between, in the JumpStory example, something that could have been taken and put on Instagram, maybe a bit more professional, but still looking like, okay, I'm actually here on this vacation with these people. It looks nice, the sun is shining, they're enjoying the pool. And then on the other hand, what could look like a typical advertising campaign, maybe in a flight magazine, of this Photoshop background. And of course, on one hand, it tells you a dream. It tries to sell you a dream, but recent studies in what works and what doesn't work, online, offline, combined, tell us that people are becoming immune to these kind of picture perfect images, but still so many marketeers are using them. This is an example to show you, for instance, the difference between the kind of images that we provide and then what you will find if you go to Shutterstock, who are the market leaders. There is not all of these boring icons that make the photos not look like photos, but really some strange hybrid between illustrations and photos. And then especially like looking on the ones on the top, there's also some kind of atmosphere in this. You can actually imagine that there's a real human being there, rather than the ones that are designed like all bad stock photos are. I don't know how many of you as digital marketeers work with heat mapping, but heat mapping is also really interesting, not only to understand, so how are people navigating on websites, what are they focusing on, but also to understand how can you use photos together with text in the best possible way. I'm going to show you an example here. So these are two different campaigns, and it shows you the power of visuals when you choose the right kind of visual. And the way the brain works is that we're instantly drawn to the image first. So on both of them, you will see that the red light, which shows the most eye contact with this part of the image, goes directly to the face of the baby, because that's again our neuropsychology, how we work with mirror ourselves. So we look at the face because we look face to face. And then on the left campaign, you'll see that yes, there is some attention going to the message, but there are also a lot of people seeing the baby, looking at you, and then just moving on. Whereas the way the brain works, and that's the beautiful part of us at the end of the day being animals, visual animals. So you can, as marketeers, control how our eyes wander through your content if you just consider how to combine the images with the text. Have the baby instead choose an image where it looks at the text. Immediately, your customer will start looking at the text as well, and then you will get them to do what you always wanted, to read the text. Had this campaign been without a photo, people will not have read it, many of them, and will have forgotten it next day. The photo with the image of the baby and the text will at least draw their attention, and maybe they will remember something about the baby campaign then 3 days later. And on your right, you see how you should do it. You combine the photo, make it support your content in a good way, and then you get both. You get the emotional response to the baby and the awareness, and you get to deliver a message to your consumer that they will hopefully respond to. This is more like a fun example that, of course, you should also consider the gender of your users. As you see on the iTrack shop on the right, here is an example of a photo of a woman not wearing too much clothes. So where does our attention span go, and where do we keep the attention? So also consider the gender. Here is a little example with a Coca-Cola ad. The way that Coca-Cola does here, as you see with the animation, is that people start focusing on the bottle because that's the visual part. But then the way they make it work really well is that they sort of do like a Coke with the bubbles coming from the text. And then you also focus on the text. Had there not been this animation, you would have risked only seeing the bottle and not the message. Again, an example from the New York Times way back when. You can probably see it on the device. But the beautiful part about our brain is that digital marketing might change. You get new tools, you get new ways to measure impact. There's one thing that hasn't changed a lot in the last 2,000 years, and that's the human brain. It's a neuroplastic organ. You can influence it through what you communicate, and you can direct where your customers will look 99% of the time, and they will go for the visual part. So to repeat it one more time, visuals are crucial. Let me show you here, before a short recap, the final example of how your brain probably works. I will guess that most of you will have looked first on the right because there is the colors and the visual. Then you will have noticed the red arrow. Your view will go down to the woman pointing to your left. And then you will start reading the text. You'll go through it very quickly because it's hard to read and there's a lot. And then your view will go to the register now, which is the call to action button. Of course, the red arrow is not there in the newsletter campaign example here, but it shows that the way the brain works, it attracts the awareness of the image. Then you can control where people look, go left, you can deliver your message. And then you know probably a lot about how you balance landing pages and newsletters. You can get, and also you get more insight into this, you can get them to go down and do what you want them to do. So these were like my most important things to share with you guys when it comes to why visuals are so important. And really keep in mind that this is not theory. This is how you can increase conversion rates by many percentages. This is how you can increase views. This is how you can increase loyalty. But you need to keep in mind as a digital marketeer, no matter how data-driven you are, and it's really good to be data-driven, we are too at JumpStory, you need to keep in mind that this is two different sides of the brain that you're communicating with. And if you haven't lit up the one that's about emotions, that's about trust, then you can communicate everything you will in rational text. People will not respond to it the way you want them to. So that's the power of visuals. So thank you very much to Apsys for giving me the chance to share some of our insights from having worked with digital marketing for 20 years and being very passionate about the visual part of it.
Hi everyone, Erik Breimot here. I'm going to talk about how you can increase your conversion rate. How can images increase our conversion rate? This has always been like the holy grail. There's a lot of different theories on how we should do and how we should increase open click-through and conversion rates. But it's pretty simple and logical when you think about it. We only go back to ourselves on what we want in our inboxes and what we have been our consent to, and what we like, and also what grabs our attention. I'm going to show you a few examples, some tricks on how you can combine visuals with text to get better results and increase conversion rate. With today's intense communication noise, we only have a few seconds to capture the attention of a person who opened an email. So speed plays a really important role. An image immediately immerses users into the topic, set mood, helps to convey the essence of the text. We can process visuals 600,000 times faster than text. We know that 94% of visual content generate more views and more than 80% of the text does not get read. We also retain 80% what we see, 20% what we read, but only 10% what we hear. Visual content is 40% often than text. So more and more visuals is used instead of text. We live in a visual world. Infographics, animated GIFs have taken over. And everyone we know is taking selfies in every occasion and moments. For a reference, an average of 660 million photos are posted on Instagram every day. If we took the statistic, we can easily see that the number of social media users is increasing every year. According to Statista, in 2019, it is estimated that there is around 2.77 billion social network users around the world. Images has become the lifeline of every living, breathing, texting, and tweeting. If you don't share images, you might as well just not exist to the world out there. With your images, we need to build trust, reflect our brand and company styles. Use correct images for the purpose of your communication. With the right images, we can increase the number of open rate, content views, email clicks, and then affect and increase conversion rate. A well-matched image complements text and help deliver its message. If you want to communicate about a specific dress, or a summer dress in this case, use the photo of exactly that summer dress. Use the text to complement the image that you're communicating. Describe what the audience see. To just add an image of a woman or a random person in a dress or summer dress will take down the credibility of the message and, of course, the brand. The optimal image does not distract from the text, and it should deliver the essence of the message. It's really important that it fits into the brand and, of course, the company style. So in short, hook your audience emotionally and you will get credibility and you will get the trust. Build trust and do it with the correct model of the product. If you have a sale, you will get the highest credibility and trust if you include a photo of the exact model that's been discounted. In this example, we can read that this company has a sale and give you a discount on a beige linen blazer. And that's exactly what the image shows. We can also see that the original price and also the discounted price. When the audience click on an image or a CTA button, they should come to the correct page with the product that we just communicated and discounted. Don't just add an image of a man shopping for a blazer or lead the audience to a start page. where the audience need to investigate themselves, where to find the product that you just promised a discount on. A really high image, hero image, is not always great, and distraction in an image can be risky business. But have the courage to try and do it with a great combination. The text in the image will distract the audience, but to distract in a good way makes the audience really curious. We can see in this example from Sleepo that they have a really high hero image. Normally, I would not recommend that you use this size and height of a hero image, because if you have a long scroll down the page, you will lose the audience if you don't get the message directly. But in this case, the offer comes really early in the hero image and makes the audience curious to scroll down to see more about the offer. So if you're going to distract, do it in the right way. And if you're going to use really high hero images, then put the offers really early in the hero image. Smart images create a story, are fun, engaging, and can also easily go viral and take your conversion rate through the roof. Playful and fun and energizing images help you to get more likes and shares, which helps your visibility. In this example, it creates a story, and each person creates their own story and how they can use the product, when they can use the product, and it also starts a great interaction with your friends and family who will talk about the product that you see in the picture, which can lead to a growing of your audience that you're sending to in the future. If your audience can create a great story with your emails and promotions, they will be dedicated and also eager to receive and read your next email. It will create stickiness and trust and the credibility. So have the courage to be bold, to try new things, but always segment and send to what your audience signed up for. We also have another way to look at it when it comes to the text that is a bit out of the grid to make a distraction. And the CTA button in this example is a primary call to action button instead of a secondary call to action button. Lately, I have seen that it's really common to use secondary buttons due to conversion in the images. Links in bigger images makes it easier to click and easier to find. To almost feel the taste of the cake makes the audience emotionally. These images are well balanced with text. The text have short explanation of the images. What you read is what you see. You can almost taste the cake and the pastries. Combine different ways to click, make it easy to find the click. In this email, for my taste, you can click both on images and text. So when you're using text for links, I will recommend that you use exactly what the audience see and where the audience will end up. Instead of using text as read more, click here, these sentences are really common. And you're not alone if you use them today. But hopefully, after this webinar, with all this knowledge you're getting today, you will be more creative with your link text in the future. So almost what you see is what you read. I will put in here. I'm going to give you a few seconds. If you can locate what could be a little bit better in these two examples. So I hope you found a few of them. In these two examples, there are different hero images on what the product and text communicates. So you almost get the story correct. I can explain what I see. I see the image on the left has 5 products. The coat, the jeans, the white shirt is not the same as the hero image on top. And the shoes, they look like they are the same, it looks like. The image on the right have 2 products. And the hero image have a woman who wears the products. Or does she wear the same products? Not really. The purse that we see is the same as the woman demonstrates, but the shoes she's wearing are not the same in both images. These kind of differences may affect your click-through rates and conversion rate, and the trust and credibility may be lower. Movement still mesmerizes us. Animated GIFs and other movements still have a great impact on how we see communication. And with well-created movements, grabs the attention and can boost click-through and conversion rate. In fact, they have been shown to improve email conversion rates by 103%. So if you can show, don't tell. Since there is a little time available for an email to catch our audience interest, any opportunity to convey meaning with an image should be used. If you want to tell your audience about a new feature, function, or solution, take a quality screenshots, or even better, create an animation or another movement that will display your action. To show instead of having heavy text, your audience will visualize the message 600 times faster than text. So invest in time to create a great quality of your animations, movies, and other movements, and use a good combination of text and CTA buttons. This will structure the message, but also facilitate the perception. To stand out in the inbox that we see today is really important. Use email annotation. This is the way to be visible to your audience before they open the email. If you want to get an advantage from the start, use an image in the inbox. It will grab the attention much faster than just a good subject line and a pre-header text. Email annotations bring your promotions to life with images, deals, expiration dates, and more. A study of 3 million Gmail users show that usage of email annotation improve overall deliverability of decreasing spam complaints and increasing open rates. So we at Upsys have been looking into this in detail. So if you want to have more information about email annotation, or you want us at Upsys to help you, you can visit this URL, gallery.upsys.com. So visit gallery.upsys.com, and there you can read more about email annotation and what we can do for you. So that was almost it for me, and I want to give you some key takeaways on how you can increase your conversion rate. Use images that complements the text. What you see is what you read. Build trust and credibility. Invest in your images. Don't just Google an image and use it. Create emotions, be bold, and let the audience create their own stories. Use images and tone of the voice that reflects your brand. Use movements. If you can show, don't tell, because it will increase your conversion rate drastically.
Thank you. As Jonathan and Fredrik have said, images play a key role in marketing. If you look at this from design point of view, images are now more important than ever. With mobile design, we are very close to the layout that is developed to be as user-friendly and effective as it can be. And this means that visual elements will be the part that really separates you from others. We all know how much time and effort it takes to find the right images. When we are in a hurry, it is good to have some thumb rules to follow. So I will point out the most common mistakes for you and give some tips and tricks along the way. This is my inbox, and as you see, there's a lot going on. If you want to stand out, it is not necessary to scream louder, but have a clear message instead. And you do this by having a clear hierarchy and contrast in your mail. Good balance in between text and images enables us to digest and browse the content instead of just skipping it. You do not even start reading heavy, messy email with a lot of text and images. We simply do not have time for that. With images only, you might even end up marked as spam. Your mail gets too heavy to load. And what happens if your recipient has images turned off? Still today, images are not adjusted for email. You do not want your image to break, but to be perfect for the media you're using them in. Save images in JPEG, GIF, or PNG with maximum weight of around 300 kilobytes. Animated GIF will not play in all email clients, which means that your first frame needs to work as still image as well. If you make retina adjusted image, make sure that it is exactly double the size and not almost, as it will appear blurry. For example, if you have 500 pixels wide image, have the original as 1000 pixels wide. Also make sure that your images look good in desktop and mobile. Despite the fact that most of the mails are today opened in mobile, majority of your subscribers might open your mail in desktop. So look into your reports to get to know your audience. You should never include images just for the sake of it. As said before, images are very powerful. They should only be included if you have a goal for them. You end up distracting your audience from your actual content with an image that does not have any value. You can even appear less trustworthy with bad image that is not clearly not of your product. For example, if you were marketing mountain biking resort in Sweden, but had images from Alps, or if you had important information for your customer, and to the top of your newsletter, you added beautiful sunset or spring flowers that are not related to your content in any way. You just use the most valuable space from your newsletter for nothing. This is why I am so excited for our text match feature in Apsys One. You can select any text in your newsletter and it will give you a list of relevant images based on your content. Thanks to JumpStory's amazing solution that is included in Apsys One. Okay. Okay, now try if you recognize these brands behind the three images. And what can we learn from them? Use the colors and pictures that match your brand image. The content of your email must be consistent and reflect your mission and values. Find images that illustrate something unique about your brand. This gets much easier once you understand what separates you from competitors. Can you go back with the slide? You want to be sure that your audience can read your mail. Even those with vision issues, reading disabilities, color blindness, different age, or simply busy people. In today's world, you might be driving, cooking, or doing something else while reading or letting your phone read the mail to you. So your mail might be read with images disabled, in desktop, mobile, smartwatch, with screen reader, or in dark mode. But if your design is accessible, the audience will be able to read your mail anyway. And good readability never hurts, right? Make sure your audience can see your email easy. Increase the contrast between background and text or images. There are plenty of tools out there to test the contrast and colors in. Pay attention to your link text so you communicate exactly what the link will do, instead of just using buttons saying, click here. Designing for dark mode gets much easier if you start with the dark background from the beginning. Make sure to have alt text on your images for disabled images or screen readers, and test in as many devices as possible. People ignore design that ignores people. If you do not make it easy to read your mail, it will not be read. And here's my checklist for you. Keep clear hierarchy and good contrast. Have purpose behind every image. Make sure your images matches your brand. Save the images in PNG, JPEG, or GIF. Test, test, and test. And tip when it comes to getting image size down, your 500 pixels wide image will look better if it's saved as 1000 pixels wide with 80% quality than 500 pixels with 100% quality. So instead of making your images smaller, take the quality down a notch, and your images get much lighter, and also people with bad connection will see your content.
So, thank you all. This was it for today. We hope, all of us, that you have gotten good insight and good knowledge from this webinar, and will bring you a good conversion rate and use images that is giving you some purpose of your communication. Please feel free to ask your questions in the chat box that you can find on right or left side of your screen, and we will be answering them and as much questions as we can. And also, if you have any questions or need some help with design consultation, get inspiration about design, talk about email marketing, digital design, Upsys Creative Services, we have a big team of creative consultants that can help you with that have many, many years of experience. You can reach us at Creative Services. You can reach us on our website, upsys.com, or you can send us an email and use the email address creativeservices@upsys.com. If you want to get in contact with us at Upsys in any matter, just reach out to us via either our website, upsys.com, through your Upsys contact person, or book a session on a time slot that suits you via the following follow-up email that will be sent to you after this webinar. Before we wrap up, we have some really interesting questions coming from you out there. So let's see what we have, what kind of questions here. I can see that there come a question from, yeah, we have one here. Okay, what is the absolute best way for building trust with images? What do you say, Jonathan? Do you have an answer on that?
The absolute way of building trust with images? Yes, I mean, if I were a digital marketer anywhere, I would use a combination of three kind of images. I would use the ones that are of my products, if I have a physical product, to, as you showed in your example, to actually make sure that people understand exactly what they get, of course, in an appealing way, but also not in a way that's been photoshopped too much, so you end up getting disappointed. Secondly, if it's not product shots, but more like emotional kind of trust builders, I would use photos like the ones you will find on JumpStory, which are of real people in real situations where you can mirror yourselves. There is nothing worse than the old kind of marketing that used to work 30 years ago, where it's the picture perfect people, but also in the realistic scenarios. I know that marketeers have been told that they are selling dreams, but there is also a limit to be selling dreams. If you disappoint people again and again, you don't build trust. You might sell them something the first time, but they will never come back. And third part is, of course, to build trust in a way where what you use with your visuals aligns with what you're communicating. So again, like you showed in your example, there has to be a link with the things that you communicate and the images that you use. And that's why we have collected such a big collection of 25 million, because there are many different needs in many different industries that we are trying to meet the best that we can, but we always want feedback. So also delivering this as part of your platform, if you have Upsys users out there who are lacking some sort of inventory kind of photos or style that they're missing, always reach out either to us or to Upsys, and we will be sure to provide it.
Okay, thank you, Jonathan. Great answer. We also got one question, is like someone wondering what a hero image is. And I talked about hero images. For you who don't know what a hero image is, like, the hero image is like a design term for describing an oversized banner, an image on top of a website, email, or an ad. Sometimes called a hero header. And it serves as the user's first glimpse of your company and offerings towards the top of the web page of an email. So it's the top big image that you have in your communication, in your website or in your emails. So let's see.
And here is one more.
One more here, Catherine.
Yeah. This is kind of interesting. If you use a picture where, for example, just one object is out of place, something you wouldn't normally find there, could that not make the receiver wonder and thereby create a feeling with the receiver? I think that's a great question, and it is, yeah, you're absolutely correct. I think that would get attention, absolutely, and create some interest in your mailing, definitely. Do you have anything to add to that, Jonathan?
No, I think it was a really good answer. Also, I mean, putting something there that doesn't really belong. I also like some of these like optical illusion photos. So if people have the time afterwards, they can go to Google and Google optical illusion marketing, and we've seen often that our photos can also be used for this purpose. So I would encourage to have a look at that. It's a really great way of hooking people's attention. So just Google optical illusion marketing.
Thank you. Then there was someone wondering what is a dark mode, and I mentioned it a couple of times. I'm just going to explain it fast. It means that mail client adjusts the mail content to a darker theme that reduces battery usage and is more gentle to your eyes. And this means that your mail might end up looking quite different from the original. So background color from white might be changed into dark gray and so on.
Yeah. Do we have time for one more, or it's like? Okay, here's one. Maybe you say, Jonathan, if you can maybe look at this one, I can read it for you. Are you not allowed to use a picture on, for example, Instagram if you name the source? How do you see that, Jonathan?
If a user finds an image of their product, their own product, or if it's just a random image?
I think it's a random image they mean here.
Okay, I mean, yeah, but in both cases, actually, the answer is no. The copyright of the images on Instagram used to belong to Facebook, but now belongs to the users. So if you want to use a photo, even if it's of your own product, you need to make sure by contacting the person that it belongs to. I even heard about a case with, so I'm from Denmark, with a famous Danish journalist who used a photo of herself on her blog, and she'd asked the photographer for permission, but it turns out that actually the photo belonged to the place where the photographer was working. So she got sued for using a photo of herself on her own blog. So license terms are really complex. That's why I always say to people, go to either a platform like JumpStory, which is then integrated in Apsys, or go to one of the platforms that you know for sure have their copyright clearance in place. And I would say every time I hear the word free on a photo platform, I will be alerted, because not much here in this world is free. It comes at a cost, and in this case with photos, it comes at the cost of risking of getting sued afterwards.
Good. Thank you, Jonathan, for a great answer. So that was all the questions that we could take for today. I'd like to thank everybody who's joining, the whole audience out there. Thank you for taking your time to listen to us and see what we have to say today. So thank you everyone for joining. Katri, Jonathan from JumpStory, and I wish you all a really great day. Bye.